The Detroit Lions are coming into week 3, and they've got a monumental task, beating Lamar Jackson, something that they've never done. The Detroit Lions haven't done it. Dan Campbell hasn't done it. And the Detroit Lions have not won in Baltimore in 20 years. The Baltimore Ravens are 6-1 against the Detroit Lions, with the last meeting being in 2023. We got beat down that game. We did not sack Lamar Jackson. We gave him 9.4 seconds to throw the ball one particular play. The good news is we wind up going to the NFC Championship game that year. So if history does kind of repeat itself, that we lose, maybe that's a sign for things to come. But the Detroit Lions, I've been doing this for a while. And again, this is one of my least viewed videos. I'm not sure why. That I appreciate you guys' input in the comment section, but I don't think it's interesting to a lot of people. A lot of people they're not into stats. They say that stats are overrated, or they're inflated, or you can't base everything off stats. That is true, but they do tell a story. They don't lie, they don't tell the whole truth, but they do tell a truth. And one of those things is that offense wins games, defense wins championships. So I'm a numbers guy. That's why this is so awesome to me, and I like to do this. And it really came from Aaron Glenn heading into 2024. I was so big on us having a top 10 defense, us getting to the quarterback, that could be the difference between us making and winning our very first Super Bowl. It's what I think kept us out of the Super Bowl in 2023. I think we had Romeo Okwara opposite Aiden Hutchinson. We did not have that guy. He had already checked out too, by the way. He wound up retiring the end of that season and leaving the NFL. So that's what I think. So that's why I'm interested in this. A lot of you people thought that we should bring the offense in. I don't think we need to. After what we saw last week against the Chicago Bears, the offense will be just fine. So I don't think we need to worry about that. It's the defense, in my opinion, that's keeping us from making our ultimate goal, which is making and winning a Super Bowl. If you look at last year with the Washington Commanders, the way the defense played, it's very tough to overcome 5 turnovers. It really is. So that's any defense. But one thing aside from that game is that the offense had to be flawless, because if they made 1 mistake, 2 mistakes, 3 mistakes, like, the offense is why we were able to overcome those interceptions and things. The defense, they stepped up and made plays occasionally, but it wasn't like, I can't remember a lot of gotta have it plays that the defense came out. They owned the Minnesota Vikings the last game of the season. It was a lot riding on that. Alexander Zaloni had just came back. It was the final home game, and it was so much riding on that. They came out, gave a dominant performance, but I think the defense is what's keeping us away from the Super Bowl. I think the offense will be just fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to compare the current week to the previous week. So in this case, we're going to be, since we're heading into week 3, we're going to compare week 2 to week 1. And then next Wednesday, we'll compare week 3 to week 2, and so on and so forth. So this is the last week graphic. This is the Detroit Lions defensive rank, and this is where they were after the first game. This is where they were. Now, yes, stats are skewed. They're inflatable. They don't tell a whole story, but they tell you enough, in my opinion. If you're at the bottom of the league in defense, you don't have many wins. That's just the bottom line, right? So, but there are intangibles that go inside of that. So you can see here that last week, the Detroit Lions were 11th in total defense. They were 14th in passing defense. They were 11th in rushing defense. They were 31st in sacks. They were one of 3 teams to not have a sack, the Carolina Panthers and the Philadelphia Eagles. They were 26 in points allowed, which was 27, and turnover differential, they were 26. I think that you guys are going to like this. I know I was actually pleasantly surprised by this, and I started to get a little giddy, man, because this is the type of stuff, if we can get some of these numbers up, the way that this is going, we could very well make the Super Bowl and win this thing. All right. So you're going to see here the Detroit Lions week 2 defensive rank. Again, through week 2, the total defense is 10th. We're up 1 spot, allowing an average of 302 yards. Passing defense, we wind up going up 2 spots from 14 to 12, averaging 196 per game, 0.5. Rushing, we did drop down. We were top 5 in the NFL last year. That is Noah Lee McNeil. That is a big deal. You can see the difference that he made on the field. Down 4 spots from 11 to 15, allowing 106 per game. Sacks. This was probably our second biggest jump of the week. Wound up going up 14 spots from 31 to 17 with 4 sacks on the day and 4 sacks in total. Points per game went up 5 spots from 26 to 21. These are points allowed. 24 for the Detroit Lions. And turnover differential, we did not give the ball over, and we took it away twice. We were -1 last week, which was actually 26. We're up 15 spots from -1 to +1. So again, if we just fade between the two, you can see there the difference. And we only have one down arrow, and that is from rushing the football. The rushing defense has some work to do, but again, that is because Aleem McNeil, that tells you how big of a deal Aleem McNeil was when it comes to run stuffing. So, I mean, again, I think the Detroit Lions when you have a top 10 Super Bowl, top 10 defense, you have a real good chance to win a Super Bowl. Now, here are the last 3 statistics that we usually bring in for this stat here. Again, you can see that I do this without even looking at Tim 20 I had made that graphic before that this came out. So you can see total, everything lines up with pretty much I said. ESPN doesn't have ties, so they'll just make you 11th or 12th or whatever. So third down defense, we were number 1 in the NFL last year. This is where we have to get it together. 40.7%. So essentially every other time we're able to get the teams off the field on third down. So that's pretty much, we're like a sneeze away from 50%. That is tied for 25th. So that means that we are basically in the bottom quarter of the NFL on third down defense. That is something that we have to get better. And red zone efficiency, we were number 1, I believe, last year in this as well. It was somewhere in the top 5, both of these categories. Red zone efficiency, 74%, which is tied for 24th in the NFL. So essentially, out of every 100 times somebody's in the red zone, they score 74% of the time. That's what happens. So this is not the greatest, and you can see the Baltimore Ravens give a lot of red zone stuff up as well, right? So if we had that number down to 1, so the higher the number, the more the team scores in the red zone. 74% of the time, teams are scoring when they get in the red zone. And it's only been 2 games, so that is, again, a small sample size. We'll know something the second quarter of the league, which is October. By the trade deadline, we'll kind of know where this team settles in. So again, early numbers, and this is what you guys are talking about when you say that stats can skew numbers, because you have averages and you have the amount of games and things like that. So a defense could look terrible. Like, for instance, the number 1 defense in the NFL. Can you take a guess in the comment section below? I'm not going to don't look it up. Don't cheat. Pause the video if you have to. Well, no, don't pause, because then you will have to go look. Tell me, what do you think, based off the NFL that you've seen, who do you think has the number 1 defense? I'll give you a hint. It is not the Ravens. It is not the Ravens. They do play in the AFC, though. That's what I'll give you. The number 1 defense. And it's a team that sucks, just like the Tennessee Titans were like the number 1 defense for a while last year, and they sucked. So, yeah, so stats can be skewed, but I think that when it's all said and done, if you're top 5, top 10 in a lot of categories, you're probably winning games, right? So for the Detroit Lions, they need a top 10 defense. I think here's the thing. If they end the season with top 10 in yards allowed, points per game, and they can get somebody to get to the quarterback, if this, outside of Hutch, if this offense can hum like it did on Sunday against the Chicago Bears, we are going to be hard to stop. But this game against Lamar Jackson is a big deal, because this is probably, we didn't think Green Bay was going to do us like that. We knew we would handle Chicago. At least I did. I didn't want to sound overconfident, but I pretty much knew we were going to handle them. And now you have the situation of Lamar. Then we play 3 consecutive AFC North teams. We've got the Cleveland Browns with Joe Flacco. Then we have the Cincinnati Bengals. And then we go to the Kansas City Chiefs. So I think the next 4 games, even though Joe Flacco is a statue, he's more of a statue than Jared Goff. But I think these games, and then the Eagles, and then the Pittsburgh Steelers, and stuff like that. So we got some guys that like legitimate competition that we're going to be able to gauge and see just how good this team is. So I enjoy doing these. Don't worry about the numbers. I used to worry about the numbers. I don't care anymore. It all falls in the same pool. And if I enjoy doing it, I'm going to do it. So as far as the offense is concerned, I really don't think we need to worry about that. If you guys want me to do offense, I didn't really do any graphics. I kind of don't want to do offense because I think offense is going to be fine. It's the offense, the defense has been behind the offense for years. The offense has been ahead of the defense. So for me, I don't really worry about, especially after what I saw on Sunday, I am not worried about the offense at all. And we didn't, just think about this. Tesla isn't really involved yet, which we still don't have. I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown was everybody. Him and Jamison Williams was like a two-man show. St. Brown was Tim Patrick, St. Brown, and J-Mo all in one, right? So I think that the offense will be fine. I just want to focus on defense, but let me know what you think in the comment section below. Seeing this graphic, does this give you hope about the Detroit Lions? Seeing how you go from these two, that was week after week 1, and again, no arrows, and then of course, only one down arrow in these 6 categories, which is a big deal. So I am getting excited. I just need one thing, man. Just give me a pass rusher who can help out Aiden. And if the offense keeps humming, man, I think that we could make. I said I wasn't going to talk about the Super Bowl until Brad did something about the defensive line. And I still feel that way. But if they can just think about what a Trey Hendrickson or something like that, somebody would take us over the hump. If you had somebody, or Lee McNeil was back, like it could be something different. It really could. So, but I felt like that for a while. This channel is made possible by viewers, subscribers, and members just like you. It's because of your support I get to do what I do. You could be anywhere else on YouTube, but you choose to rock with me. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. And as always, go Lions.